So I'm out here. I decided for a little change of location. It's a beautiful day and it's our last full day here. So last video I did a video essay and I accompanied it with some explanation, but I wanted to go back to the format I originally started with, which was talking and kind of debrief about my experience here now that it's almost over, and also fill you in on the things that we've been doing in the past few days because it's been very busy. I think I'm going to work backwards, and I might not include everything that we've done, but I'm going to include the things that most impacted me and that I really want to talk about before I conclude this little video blog series. Yesterday we went out on a desert search and a water drop, which involved bringing jugs of water to places that migrants are known to pass through, so that they can stay hydrated, and that can really mean life or death in the desert. The rivers are dried up and have very small pools, but there's not a really reliable water source, and dehydration is a very common cause of death in the desert. Obviously the terrain is not easy to navigate, and there's a map that I will include that enumerates the dangers of trying to walk through the desert. There's rugged terrain, there's infrequent water sources, it's hard to pack enough food and supplies to last that long. On the map you'll also see blue flags which indicate other water drops. These are larger, but they have also been vandalized in the past by Border Patrol and by vigilante and militia groups. During this time we found a lot of evidence of migrants being present. There were shoes and backpacks and clothing left behind. So that indicates that these water drops are being put in the right place because this is where migrants come through. This was a really hard experience in multiple ways. During the water drops, I was like, oh wow, like this is really cool. Like it was kind of our first activity where we got to walk around and be in nature, which I really appreciated. But it wasn't easy terrain by any means, and it was also during the day. And a lot of migrant travel happens at night. And so I think it hit me afterwards that, wow, what if I had been someone trying not to get caught in the dark, carrying all my supplies on my back? Like, this wouldn't have been a pleasant trek through nature. It would have been a life or death situation. And it took me some time to realize that. Another thing that we witnessed that was very difficult was we actually passed Border Patrol apprehending migrants, like in the middle of putting them in the back of their car. And that was hard to watch, especially because we were out there trying to save people who were trying to cross and trying to help them be successful on their journey, or at the very least not die of dehydration. And so when we saw that, two of our students and one of these Samaritans, which is the group that we were with, got out and handed one of the Border Patrol agents a bag of food and supplies they wanted the Border Patrol to give to the migrants. My friend Talia was actually one of the people who, actually, hold on.
Okay. So I was in the van with one of the Samaritans. He was driving and saw that there were two migrants being detained. We pulled over immediately and he said he was going to grab the jump bag, which is a bag with food, electrolytes, Gatorade and water, things that they can just grab really quickly if they see someone being apprehended or on the side of the road that they need to get to quickly. So he grabbed the jump bag and I asked him if I could come with him. So I too jumped out of the car and we went down to Border Patrol. They were loading the migrants into the car and had closed it, so there was just a cage that we could see their faces. We asked one of the Border Patrolmen if we could give food to the migrants, and he said that they were about to leave. One of them needed medical attention, but the other one was yelling, tengo hambre, which is I'm hungry. And so we asked if we could give him food, and the Border Patrolman, who was actually quite nice and conversive with us, said that he wasn't going to be in the car with the migrants. So we asked another gentleman who if he was going to be in the car with them, and he said yes. So the Samaritan was trying to get that man to take the food into the car with the migrants, and he was kind of rude and hesitant and saying like, no, they don't need it, or, you know, was just kind of, yeah, he was rude. And so the Samaritan was really pushy. Obviously he'd done this before, and he was like, just take the food, please take the food. The man is saying he's hungry, take it. And so begrudgingly, the officer took the food. We turned around, well, I said goodbye to the migrants. I tried to make eye contact with them. We turned around and walked away, and someone who was still in the van said that he saw the man who we had given food to get into a different vehicle. He wasn't even with the migrants. So we don't really know whether the migrants received the food or not. We're assuming not.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting interaction. It was emotional. I felt kind of overwhelmed. It all went so quickly. Yeah, we wanted to do something for them. We wanted to give them food. They seemed like they needed it, and you know, the man was yelling that he was hungry. So it was upsetting that we weren't able to hand it to them. The Samaritan said that typically when they're apprehended, they're put on the ground, and if we had got there just a little bit earlier before they were put in the truck, we would have been able to hand the food to them, put it in their hands, which I think is really cool. I didn't realize Border Patrol would allow that to happen, but we weren't there quick enough, so we had to hope that the Border Patrol would do that. So,
and if one of the migrants did need medical attention, the protocol is probably slightly different.
Yeah, they needed to get there quickly.
Yeah.
So, you know, Border Patrol, they're all human, so they all have different ways of handling things. Some of them possibly are a little bit more concerned than others. When medical attention is necessary, they all do what they gotta do. But as for like comforts like food and things like that, some are a little more good-natured
It's an individual basis.
than others. It's an individual basis.
We're gonna talk to a Border Patrol agent today. So
we are, and I'm
we'll
interested to see his input on different ways of handling the same situation.
Yeah. So the desert search / water drop was intense, but the Samaritans gave us a lot of hope and good information about ways that they've been trying to help migrants. After we had stayed with the nuns in Douglas, Arizona, they were really accommodating. They let us stay in their home. They consider themselves radical nuns. They were all wonderful women. We took part in a cross-planting ceremony. We were commemorating Leticia Viveros Tobilla, and she was 19 years old when she passed away. She was, her remains were found about a mile from the border on the U.S. side. The process was very sacred. We were standing in a circle. The shaman kind of explained to us the process. There was an altar, and we all gave an ofrenda, which could be anything. Some people gave a necklace. One, Micaiah in our group gave her earring. I made a little bushel of leaves and a rock that I found really beautiful. There was a chance when we were going around, we were allowed to say a couple words, and some people brought poems. Talia spoke from the heart about her experience with loss. She said some very beautiful things. I contributed the mourner's Kaddish because that's the best way that I know how to honor the dead. And it was really powerful to know that we were helping lay her to rest in a way. Even though she had passed in '05, it was important to know that we could remember her and give her spirit something that recognized her life and that gave significance to her death. She wasn't just someone who was forgotten. And that was really powerful. It's honestly inexplicable, the experience. It was something I've never really been a part of before, and I was really grateful to have been there and to have been let into that circle, because it was definitely a very unique and once in a lifetime opportunity. Earlier, a few days ago, we explored more of Nogales, and we went kind of further into the industrial area of Nogales, Sonora, where the maquilas are, which are the factories of Sonora, or of Nogales. One of them that we toured was Arsobo, which stands for Arizona Sonora Border. They make wheelchairs, they make prosthetic limbs, and they make hearing aids. They do a lot of really important work in creating prosthetics for people who have lost limbs. They might have lost them to a diabetes amputation. Some of them have lost limbs due to attempts to cross the border. And everyone who works there has been a recipient of their services. It helps people who have disabilities reintegrate, allows them to find purpose and meaning by having a job that they go to every day. They also work to redesign wheelchairs so that they're actually more apt for the terrain of Mexico. They explain that a lot of wheelchairs that are designed or made in the US can fall apart within weeks or less, because there's much more rugged terrain. Some people don't have paved sidewalks where they live. A lot of the buildings of Mexico are not accessible to people in wheelchairs. And so by redesigning them using bike tires and by using weldable metal, it makes it so if they do get damaged, they're very easily replaced even in remote areas, because most places are going to have a welder and someone who has bike tires. So that's really important. They emphasize listening to the needs of the community and not just trying to help by trying to give people in other communities the best of the best. For example, there was a child in need who was given a donation of a very nice electric wheelchair. It would be considered one of the best in the United States, but it was pretty much useless. It was too big to get through some of the doorways. It couldn't really navigate the terrain, and it really wasn't helpful. It really wasn't serving the purpose that it needed to be serving. So Arsobo is listening, and they are making changes as needed to accommodate the population. So I'm finally back home. The trip has concluded. It's been a really wonderful experience, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank some of the people that made it really special. So first and foremost, thank you, Lisa, for organizing this trip. Thank you, Tony Sedgwick, for letting us stay in your house. It was beautiful, and we are so appreciative that you let us explore around and find all your secret rooms. Thank you, Jackie, for introducing us to so many amazing people in Sonora. And thank you, Juanita Molina, for beginning and ending our trip on such a positive note, and for all of the work that you do. So thanks for watching, and bye!